We all live in a bubble. It's called your comfort zone. It's made up of all of the things that make you feel comfortable doing, like watching Netflix, going for a walk, eating candy, scrolling through social media. But outside of this comfort zone and outside of this bubble are all of the things that make us feel discomfort, like going for a hard run or taking a cold shower or going to the gym and getting a hard workout in. We love routines because it gives us a sense of control over our lives and lets us know what to expect every single day. We can set goals and achieve them without even ever really thinking about them. They just happen. We just do it. But routines aren't always good for us. Sometimes we need to step outside of our comfort zone and try new things to try to grow and adapt as human beings. But what if our lives changed overnight? What if you were all of a sudden able to do all of the things that you said that you would do? What would your life look like? Would you be happier, more fulfilled? We all have goals, whether it's to get in better shape, learn a new language, or start a new business. But how do you make sure that your goals are actually going to happen? How do we make sure that the goal is actually achieved after all that hard work that you put into it? Well, if you're like me, chances are there are some things in your life that are getting in the way of your goals. Maybe it's the distractions of social media, maybe it's the lack of time, maybe even just the lack of motivation in the moment. So here are 3 tips to make sure that your goals actually happen.
Number 1, remove all temptation. Your mind is a powerful thing and it can be distracting in many ways. One of those ways is by making you focus on things that don't actually matter. Sometimes it even makes you think about things that are completely unrelated to your goals. Or even worse, sometimes it can make you even think about nothing at all, which is really unproductive for our goals that we have set out for ourselves. But what if I told you that there is a way to stop this from happening? And there is. And this is how. First of all, you have to realize when you are being distracted by your own thoughts and your own mind. Some people don't even realize that they're being distracted until they start realizing that their goals aren't actually happening, that they're not actually accomplishing any of their goals that they set out for themselves. So in order to stop this from happening, we need to be able to recognize when we're being distracted, and that takes a good bit of concentration on our current state of mind and our current actions. When something comes up that is distracting you, we need to be able to recognize that thing as a distraction for what it is. Our first line of defense against that is to be able to recognize when we are being distracted, to have that consciousness to say, hey, this thing is actually distracting me from my goal. It's not adding to the end goal. It's not adding any value to my end goal, and therefore I must eliminate that thing. Once we acknowledge it, we can then refocus our attention to the things that actually matter, that are actually going to progress us towards that goal that we set out for ourselves. By doing so, not only will you be able to keep the distractions away as they come up, but also maybe even not allowing those distractions to completely take over your entire day and make your entire day completely worthless when it comes to accomplishing that goal that you set out for yourself. Number 2 is action. You probably already know that you need to take action. You've probably heard it a million times, and at this point it's probably not even news to you, but it's just hard to do, right? But here's the thing, taking action is actually easier than you think. The problem isn't that you can't do it, the problem is that you don't want to do it. We're always telling ourselves that we'll get around to doing what we need to do later, and then later comes, we get busy, and then we realize that the only real time to get anything done is to do it now, when you have the chance and when you had that initial thought to do it. So here is my advice. Just start moving. It may sound simple, but sometimes taking the very first step is all you need in order to start creating real action. And honestly, sometimes all you need to start gaining that momentum, it just takes that first step. Taking immediate action when you know you've been distracted is your best course of action. Try to shut off that internal dialogue that is talking you out of your actions. This internal dialogue is very easy to catch when you start to pick up on it. And this internal dialogue is gonna sound something like, you can sleep in for a few more minutes, or you can skip out on this run today, you've had a hard week. However, your internal compass knows the deeper truth. And recognizing when your body is pushing back is absolutely key. Take immediate action the moment that you realize that you're having these distracted thoughts.
Number 3, creating internal control. When trying to reach your goal, it's really easy to get caught up in trying to blame external factors for why you're not achieving that goal or why you can't get there. But have you actually thought about how much of your daily life is actually controlled by external factors? When you say that something is out of your hands, what does that really mean? Do we really not have any control over our lives or the events going on around us? We may think that we don't, but the truth is, most of the time, we do. If you pay attention to the words that people use when they talk about their goals, you'll notice something very interesting. They blame external factors for their outcome more often than they take responsibility for their own actions. Let's say that you are trying to lose weight and haven't been able to stick with a diet. You would say something like, I would do it, but my kids are always asking me to go out and eat ice cream. Or maybe you're not sure how to get ahead at work and you keep telling yourself, I want to advance my career right now, but there aren't any new opportunities. This way of thinking creates distance between who we are currently and who we want to become. So how can you stay on track? It's all about identifying when you are blaming external events for outcomes in your life and turning it around to try to make it in an internal factor instead. Your new way of thinking will sound something like this. What others choose to eat has nothing to do with my personal goals. Or maybe I'm not looking hard enough at those new job opportunities. Making it an internal factor brings the power back to your self-control for the outcomes in your life. This gets rid of that wishful thinking and sets your body and mind into motion towards that very specific goal that you have set out for yourself.